Hi, welcome to Zillennial Breakdown, a podcast where we talk about... Finish my sentence.
We talk about YouTube. That's what I've been telling people when, like, a podcast comes up in conversation with people. Like, oh, I have a podcast, or, oh, I'm recording tonight. And they're like, oh, what's it about? I'm saying, oh, well, this first season is about YouTube and, like, the people we watched in high school, mostly. It's a nostalgia podcast.
And what do people say to that?
They're like...
fucking nerd.
They're like, wow, you sound like a fucking loser.
Cool.
No, they're just like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I get answers ranging from that to like, oh, that's so fun, give me a link, or people being like, oh, that makes me feel old.
Oh, nobody's asked me for the link.
Yeah, I've gotten a couple link asks.
No, that's not true. Not like in that exact language, but I've had it's like come up and then people have been like, oh, well, I would love to listen to it. I want to check it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm glad we have fans.
Yeah. Shout out to our fans.
Shout out to our fans.
Shout out to my boss.
Shout out to... I don't know who on my side listens.
Your mom.
My mom? Oh, yeah, my mom.
Shout out Tina.
Shout out Tina. Anyway, today we're going to talk about Dan and Phil. Who's Dan and Phil?
I feel like this is a highly anticipated episode for us personally.
Yeah,
Dan and
just
Phil...
for us, not for anybody who listens.
Dan and Phil are such, like, fixtures in our lives.
It's true.
Yeah.
I feel like we dressed accidentally like Dan and Phil today. Just a little bit.
That happens. If you're gonna
It does kind of happen.
If you're gonna compare dynamics, I mean, yeah, you would be Dan and I would be Phil. In high school, we established this, right? Like, you're Dan, Tara's Chris, I'm PJ. I don't remember if we really had a Phil.
We don't really have a one-to-one Phil.
No.
But, yeah. I really like the boys we're talking about today. I'm a big fan. I've never stopped being a fan of them. Even though it's been like 11 years.
Dude, yeah.
It's a long time.
Fucking insane. Part of the homework you gave me was to, like, look back and watch what their first video that I ever saw was. Which I think was the Day in the Life London vlog. Because they did, like, Day in the Life of Dan and Phil Manchester. They did Day in the Life London. And then I think they did one other. I don't remember which one I watched for the first time. Whatever one has, like, creepy baby head mannequins in it.
That's Manchester.
Yeah. Okay.
I know exactly which one that is. It's like, the title of it is like Scary Baby Man or something.
Oh.
It's on Phil's side channel.
It was the
He also might have renamed it, I think. Because some of the stuff that was on that channel got renamed to be less, like, sensational.
Why?
I don't know.
That's okay.
Because some people, like, moralized that at one point in, like, YouTube history. I feel like it was uncool to have videos on your channel that's like, big booby woman says, come eat me, you know? And, like, that was, like, a big... Like, that's, like, a normal Smosh thumbnail, you know?
I was gonna bring up Smosh. Also, that's what we're gonna title this episode.
Oh, God, I really wish the lighting in this room was, like, way better. It's, like, actually upsetting me how dark it is in here.
You just look emo. It's okay.
It's fine. It's an homage to Dan. Shall we get into it? I have, like, a lot of notes. Like, we're talking, I have 7 pages of notes.
Oh. Holy damn.
Okay, I'll get into it. So Dan and Phil are a YouTube comedy duo, kind of, that started uploading videos in, like, the late 2000s. In the case of Phil, it was, like, I think he first uploaded in 2006, which is, like, very early. Like, YouTube's 2005, right? So he was, like, right on there.
Yeah. I didn't know he was one of the OGs. Like, the OGs.
He's one of the OGs. Yeah, but we found them through, I guess, more of their like joint content. So they both started out as individual content creators. Although I kind of hate that. I don't like content creator. Let's just do YouTubers is like cringe, but I feel like it's like it's got more soul.
I don't think YouTubers is cringe. I think that's honestly like more accurate. That's more true. That's more true to them.
I think it is more true to them.
And to like the era we're going to talk about. So
I completely agree. Yeah. So anyway, Phil makes like silly vloggy stuff. And Dan did more like scripted comedy. But the stuff they did together was like just friends hanging out, and I think that was the appeal for most people, was seeing two friends hang out.
Yeah.
And have a good time with one another, which is like sweet, I think.
Yes. It's just friendship. People like watching friendship, you know? People like watching...
They do.
Because when people are with people that they love and are comfortable with, they're gonna be like their authentic selves, and that is cool to watch because people like authenticity.
That's so true.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're very authentic. I never felt like, especially like back in the day, I never felt like they were pandering or like lying to me. Which some people would argue they were. I kind of don't care if they were, personally. Not about the things that people get upset about, at least.
Yeah, I don't think they were. I mean, I could kind of see that point of view if somebody was like a little upset. I don't know. I think that goes into sort of a weird area of parasociality, like parasocial relationships.
Like, what do you owe people?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, like as Dan like revealed, was like a little more vulnerable with like his mental health and sexuality, that just became like oh cool, like thanks so much for sharing that. It wasn't like, why didn't I already know that, you know?
Yeah, I think if you felt like, why didn't I already know it, you're kind of being a biatch.
Yeah, I don't know.
Just a little bit.
I think I can understand it a little bit, but also like, I do think that's a reaction. If you have that reaction, it's like something questionable, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so brief history, Dan and Phil. Phil was born in 1987. Dan was born in 1991. They're born 4 years apart. I think people forget about that there's like a little bit of an age gap because it feels like they were born from the same womb or something, but they were not. Phil's also from the north of England, and Dan is from the south of England, which I think... I'm not British, so like I can't account for this, but supposedly that... like northern people are more... they're like bumpkins. So Phil might have more of a bumpkin spirit, I think, than Dan.
Yeah, I see that though.
Yeah.
Chris does too. Like if we're...
yeah, Chris is northern.
I might keep... This is the Dan and Phil episode, but this might be a little bit the Fantastic Foursome episode.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think that's fine. Yeah, we're going to talk about Chris and PJ in this episode. Chris being Crab Sticks online, and PJ being Kick the PJ. And they were all part of like a group together online for like only like a year. But I think it really followed them for a long time, called the Fantastic Foursome.
It wasn't like an official group. It was like...
No.
They were all friends, and then they put out videos together, them being friends, and then like fans. I think the Fantastic Foursome thing was a fan thing, and then they kind of ran with it for a little bit.
I have like a bunch of notes here about like Dan and Phil's like growing up, their college experiences. I think the big things are they both kind of had like like suburban rural childhoods. Both got bullied a lot, which is a little bit sad.
Yeah.
I think that's like a common thread for anybody who makes videos online though. Like you're kind of trying to prove something, and also you don't have friends. So I think many probably got a little
for like
sick and twisted treatment by other children.
Yeah, for the early people for sure. Like before YouTuber was a term and before you could make any money there, it totally makes sense that like that's a place you would go to not engage with, like, those around you who are mean to you.
Yeah.
You were bullied.
So I was bullied.
A little bit.
Yeah. A little bit. See, but I think I got lucky, though, because I didn't get bullied in middle school or high school. I just got, like, mercilessly bullied for, like, 2 years in like, elementary school.
Yeah, but, I mean, that shit has stuck with you a little bit. I mean, not, like, current day, I don't think, but, yeah, throughout
Probably
school.
not. I mean, if I see you then it's on site. But otherwise, no, it has not really stuck with me.
She was a biatch.
Yeah, we're gonna say that publicly. I'm going on the record. Fuck you. Anyway.
Hey, I'm sorry. My mom's calling me. You're, Mackenzie and I are recording a podcast episode right now. Do you want to say something on our podcast?
What's the topic matter?
We're talking about Dan and Phil today.
I don't know who those dudes are.
Cool. Well, thanks for being on the podcast. It was great having you.
Hey, and you're off jury duty.
Oh, thanks.
All right, bye.
Bye. Love ya.
I love you.
All right. Sorry to interrupt you, though.
Oh, all good. Yeah. What was I gonna say? Oh, yeah. So, they have been friends since 2009. Phil had already completed his degrees, I think, at that point. He has 2 degrees. Phil Lester.
I didn't know
I actually don't
that.
think I've said their full names yet. Their names are Phil Lester and Daniel Howell. And they are currently... How old does that make them? If Phil was born in 87?
Phil's like 31 or 32 now, isn't he?
Phil's way older than 31 and 32. Dan's 32.
Ah, okay, so Phil is 36.
I think Phil's 36.
He's Smosh age.
I deduced that they met through Phil's comment section on YouTube.
That's cute.
Yeah, because Phil was obviously uploading for like a couple of years before Dan. Phil encouraged Dan to upload videos for the first time, which is when Dan started making... So Dan and Phil were already friends by the time that Dan was making videos.
Wasn't Phil sort of the inspiration for Dan to start making videos, or...
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, along with, like, other, like, Smosh and Shane Dawson and whatever else he was watching.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Yeah.
They pretty much have made stuff together the entire time that Dan has been online. But Phil has, like, a good, like, 4 years of content without... 3 years? I think 3 years of content without any Dan. And a lot of that is, like, college-y. Like, I'm in my dorm. Here's me eating candy. You know? Like, silly stuff.
What are his degrees in?
His first degree is in English. His bachelor's is in English literature. And his master's is in video editing. That man could be a professor if he wanted to. Well, like an adjunct professor, but... Yeah.
Professor Phil.
Professor Lester. And Dan dropped out of college, but that's like a whole thing, and that's like a saga. That Dan went to University of Manchester and dropped out in like a year and a half. I wanted to be more chronological, but I feel like we're going to do a lot of jumping around. I wanted to start off, though, by asking, do you know... You said your first video of them, like, together that you watched was one of the Manchester vlogs, the Baby Man one.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Okay. Do you remember which videos of them you watched that were, like, separate?
I don't know.
Because I got mine in my brain box. These are formative memories.
I don't...
So my first video of either of them, you showed me. It was Phil, something about breaking the internet, or like, I am the internet. It was called If I Ruled the Internet.
That's familiar. Is that still up?
It is still up. It's 13 years old. And the description of the video is, I am your king.
Oh my god. No, look at this fucking thumbnail. I remember this.
It has like no view. Like for a Dan and Phil video, it has like no views. 603,000 views.
It's so good. I'm not even a thumbnail.
See, and my hunch on this is because it was 2 years before we started watching them that this was uploaded. I think he might have been finishing his master's degree or like had just gotten his master's degree, and I think he was putting the editing to good use. Because this video was just like, he's like just throwing special effects at the wall. It's a video collage.
A video collage. The thumbnail and the galaxy background is so of its time.
It is very of its time. Yeah. Phil, I feel like Phil did a lot of that on his channel. Like Draw Phil Naked, remember that? Like it always had it always had a galaxy background.
Yeah,
and then Dan's stuff tended to have that too. Mm-hmm. Like the end screen. The sexy end screen was its own thing, but then if he had a different end screen, it would be like galaxy print. Or there's that video, remember the website that Dan made when he was 12?
Yeah.
So there's a website that Dan made when he was 12 for our listeners at home, and it's online. You can find it. I found it way before he made a video about it because I'm insane. But it also has a galaxy background, and it's just like a list of plays he's been in and movies he likes.
Yeah. And like vague threats.
Yeah. So that was my first Phil video, and then from there I clicked into, well, I watched a bunch of Phil videos, I think, because you were like, you should watch these guys, and you gave me like all 4 of their names, like Chris, PJ, Dan, Phil. So I was like, well, I gotta go home and do my homework.
Really? At the same time? I feel like Dan and Phil were first, and then like Chris and PJ came later.
But like I think you got into all of them first. So then you were still able to pass all 4 of them along to me at the same time. Yeah, this was like summer before high school. So 2012.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, so I watched from there like a bunch of Phil videos, and I found the Christmas cookie Dan and Phil video was my first ever Dan and Phil video, where they make the placenta cookie.
Oh my god.
And I remember Dan, like, he literally slides on camera, and it was like somebody hit me in the head with a hammer. Like, I was, like, permanently changed on site. It was literally on site. It was so bad. So I, like, went to his channel, like, right after watching that video, and then the first Dan video I watched was What Not to Do at the Cinema. So, there you go. Those are mine.
You remember. I
remember.
I just now scrolled to the bottom of Phil's videos, and I don't know if he's deleted any, but I can't. The oldest video on his channel currently is 17 years old.
That's crazy.
I also don't think I ever have done like a Phil deep dive into his really early stuff. I don't know. I've seen a few of these, but not most of them.
It's mostly like just silly. But
yeah,
it's like a fun watch, I guess. I haven't done a Phil deep dive I haven't done a deep dive on any YouTubers in like a while.
I go back to PJ's like once a year.
I deep dive sometimes on like Dan and Phil Games, which was a channel that Dan and Phil had together starting in 2014, I think, where they gamed. Pretty self-explanatory. Yeah, especially like around this time of year because they have all the Halloween ones. I'll go back and watch like the scary ones.
I didn't watch Dan and Phil Games when it was active, really. Like maybe a few videos, maybe one here and there. But in the last like month-ish, I've revisited that channel, which turned out to be kind of timely because they just announced that they're bringing it back.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, as of today, October 17th, yesterday, they announced Dan and Phil Games is coming back. We're getting more Dan and Phil content just in time for Halloween. That's sick. I'm so excited for that.
It's gonna... Dude, the YouTube renaissance continues. We talked about this in our previous episode, but like, fucking with Smosh, and now Dan and Phil are back. I'm getting so excited all of a sudden.
I think we're vibe shifting into an era of reclaiming things that make you happy.
Dude, we might be. I also feel like personally I am slowly but surely getting back into like socializing that feels good and meaningful. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. I'm becoming a little bit less socially awkward. Like, I'll always be somewhat socially awkward. But I guess what I'm talking about is, like, I think that COVID did some damage as far as, like, ability to connect with people.
Yeah, I think for everybody it did, for sure.
And I feel like that's coming back a little bit.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
And I think somehow it's all connected. Smosh and Dan and Phil games and me making new friends is... Yeah.
It's all connected.
It's all...
I think, doing this for me is like reclaiming something that I like, because like I like putting stuff online. And then my other podcast, plug, American in Peril, the solo podcast.
Woo!
It's me talking about like Twitter bullshit usually. Or like learning the guitar. I feel like that's been me trying to like do a new skill and like get over cringing at myself a little bit. So there's more positive energy out in the world right now, I feel like.
Yeah, I'm gonna choose to believe that. And I'm not saying that in any sarcastic kind of way.
After I said it, I realized I don't actually believe myself. But I would like to think that for some people, there's a wave of reclaiming your hobbies, maybe. Or jobs. If you're just Smosh and Dan and Phil, because it's their jobs.
Yeah.
But just looking at my notes here.
Yeah.
This is way too detailed. Do you know that Dan worked at Asda and Focus DIY? A home project store?
What?
They started making videos together in like 2009-ish. I wish I knew. I don't have a note on what the first one was. I think it might be that one on Dan's channel where he pretended to kidnap Phil.
I feel like a fake fan. I'm not a fake fan, but I don't know that one.
It's really far back on his channel, and I think it's still up. There's a bunch of Dan videos that got taken down.
Dan kidnaps
That was something
Phil?
else. Yeah. In doing my research for this episode, there were many, not to like throw them under the bus, but there used to be a lot of videos with big booby women being like, we're kissing each other, and like big like clickbait articles, or not articles, clickbait thumbnails that are now gone. I think those videos might just be straight up gone. And some of his like truth or dares are gone. I think some of the like heavy on like llama content stuff is gone too, because I think he thought it was embarrassing.
I don't blame him for that.
Yeah, so you can find some of it like still like got re-uploaded, but
I think
not all of it is
I think
there.
I found it's called How to Befriend Your Favorite Internet Stars.
That's the one.
Yeah, and Phil comes in just at the very end.
Which is funny because I was also trying to figure out how many subscribers they had around that time, and I think Phil would have probably had like less than 100,000, but like at that time that would be like an internet star.
Yeah.
Because there was no such thing.
Yeah.
Because I was even reflecting, I think when I started watching Dan and Phil, they had like 300 to 400,000 subscribers. And then like within a year they blew up. Like really fast.
We found, I feel 2012 was like, I don't know.
Right on the cusp.
Right at the beginning of a golden era or something like that.
Yeah. Because I remember when Dan hit 1 million subscribers, and then Phil was pretty shortly after.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was like a countdown for like months. Like people being like, we gotta get Dan to like 1 million subscribers.
You're welcome,
We gotta
Dan.
be really annoying about it on Tumblr. Yeah, you're fucking welcome. Yeah, I mean, I couldn't confirm this anywhere because like Social Blade, which like keeps track of people's analytics, like doesn't go back 10 years. So I'm literally just going off of memory, but I'm pretty sure it was like 300 to 400,000 subscribers when I subscribed.
That sounds right. Like, that feels right.
That sounds right to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we started watching them roughly the same time. And that... Yeah.
Yeah. And Dan had less than Phil. Because I remember that was like, when that switched, I was like, oh, weird. And then Dan hit 1 million first.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's familiar for some reason.
Yeah.
I don't know why subscriber numbers feel familiar, but I can't remember videos.
Anyway, around that time, I feel like a lot of the stuff they were making was very, like, silly, like, skit stuff. They did a lot of, like, remember Phil had, like, lion? And he would, like, put the lion in, like, different skits and stuff?
Yeah! That was one of the early
it was, like,
Phil ones.
a little stuffed animal.
Yes. I'm gonna find him again. He has a name.
I think it's just lion, isn't it?
There's a video I just saw, like, deep on his video list, where I feel like the lion was in the thumbnail and the lion had a name.
Yeah, the lion features very prominently. And then Dan was obsessed with, because Phil was obsessed with lions, and I had a t-shirt of Phil's that was turquoise and had a lion on it, and I don't have it anymore. It actually took me years to get rid of that t-shirt, and I really wish I hadn't gotten rid of it.
Aw, no.
Stupid.
Rito.
The Dan shirt I had, I am glad I got rid of, because it's really embarrassing. It's like, I'm a dinosaur, rawr, and it's like him in like a dinosaur suit. It's really cringe, so I'm not sad I got rid of that. But the Phil one was cute.
Okay, actually, I think I might be wrong. I'm seeing videos. He has a video called Amazing Jason. I don't know what that's about, but the lion is in the background on his bed. And I thought the lion was named Jason.
Yeah, they felt like they had to have, like, animal mascots for some reason. Because then we did, so Supernote, which was a Rhett and Link thing. Rhett and Link being, like, they're podcasters now, primarily, I think. They just, like, turned Good Mythical Morning into a podcast. But they were big, like, doing skits on YouTube at the same time, too. And they did, like, a community thing called Supernote, and whoever got the most, like, people to submit videos basically would win, because whoever had the longest collective Supernote for their entire fan base won.
Wasn't it?
And you had to hold a note for the longest amount of time.
Yeah, okay, but wasn't it like Rhett and Link would pick team captains, right?
Yes, they would pick the team captains.
Yeah.
And Dan was a team captain the year that we did it.
2013?
It's 2012.
2012? 2013. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna find that video and I'm gonna insert, like, a clip of it here.
Hello, Dan. It's good.
And probably Phil.
Kind of.
And
yes, we went to an actual llama farm for ours.
That level of dedication is so... I wouldn't do anything like that for anybody today. Any person I don't know personally. Like, anybody that's not you, basically. Like, why would I do that?
I don't know. And all of us went. There's, 6 of us in that video.
Yeah. Well, because we recruited everybody. I mean, I think...
We did.
We all... most of us were actually watching and were, fans at that point, but also probably you and me were like, you guys, let's do this. It's it'll be a fun friend thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was.
It was.
It's good memory.
It is. It's sweet.
Yeah. It is sweet.
I think about it every time I drive by that llama farm on my way to my parents' house.
Yeah, me too. I get very, aw.
Yeah.
Nostalgic. Yeah, that was something I appreciated about Dan and Phil just generally, that they would do, community building activities, I feel like. Because, obviously there's the live shows they did later, the tours. But then they also did, actual live shows, on YouNow and stuff, so then I felt like, oh, I could go, hang out with them, quote-unquote, hang out with them.
Did you watch the YouNows?
I did, yeah. I actually had YouNow on notifications from ages 15 to 20.
Wow. I never did. I've seen YouNows, but only as, only uploaded to YouTube after the fact.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I used to watch Dan's live. like every time. Yeah, maybe we should address that. I was like obsessed with Dan.
I don't know if we should be using was past tense. I'm just kidding. It's not. You're not.
It's not like it was.
No.
Yeah, because like when I was like 14, I thought, I was like, I know for a fact I'm gonna marry this person.
That's right. You were really deep in it. No, for sure. We're like a lot more normal about it. We're so much more normal about it. But it's a lot easier to be normal about people and situations when your brain's fully developed. So
it's so true. And when you know for a fact that they're gay.
Yeah, that's a factor as well.
Yeah, because I was like not a fan truther like that, because that's like a huge factor in like the fandom for Dan and Phil, is like a lot of people were only there because, well, not only, but like a big part of what drew them to Dan and Phil was like shipping them together, which I think is weird, even though like now we do have evidence that they dated for a little while at least. I don't want to speculate on like anything current, but
it is. It's just, it's weird to force that on real people. I was very shippy with like fictional characters.
Yeah.
But now with real people, I don't remember what my stance on them. I don't think I cared that much. I
didn't really care either. It wouldn't have really changed the videos for me, because like I just cared about their like friendship, and like you can, I don't know. See, I guess to me like it never really read as all that romantic. So like it was just hard for me to believe. But I also think it, because obviously they were dating for a second, like that's been confirmed. They were just good at hiding it, or like they were just not affectionate on camera, which is, I don't know. At the end of the day, like you still care about each other, like your friends, boyfriends, roommates, husbands, whatever. Like, I don't know.
Well, I imagine with the videos, since Dan wasn't really out, they probably were like, let's conceal it on the internet, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, because I think Phil was technically out to people.
Yeah, I rewatched
but Dan wasn't.
I rewatched Phil's coming out video today, and he was like fairly out. Like not super out on the internet, but like out to most people in his actual life. That's sort of what it sounded like to me that he was talking about.
Yeah. Well, and I think Dan had more, like, not that I think Phil had it easy or anything, but based on his coming out video, I think it was more of a, like, okay, I know I'm gay, and, like, I might as well just be out with it, I guess.
Phil's or Dan's?
But then Phil.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas I think Dan, like, faced a lot more, like, bullying for it specifically, and, like, didn't know where he stood on the spec. Like, he dated women for a while, and, like, I think it was just a lot harder for him to get to where he's at.
Yeah, and
because he wasn't even out to anyone until I think he came out in 2019. Like, not family or anything.
Yeah. No, I think that, like, I definitely have the impression that Dan had a lot more external as well as internal struggle about it. You know, like, he has a lot more shame and a lot more, like, shit to work through.
So I think that makes it worse for me with people speculating so much, because like I know that played into it, you know, like it's not like it's impossible for it not to have played into like that fear, I guess. Anyway,
poor Danny.
People are gross. Like, I can't imagine, like, if we had ever gotten like big on YouTube or something and people were writing fan fiction about us, like, I guess I would probably just find it funny. But I think if people were being really insistent about it, I would start to feel uncomfortable. Because then it feels like you're disappointing people.
For sure.
When, like, that's, like, not what's actually should be happening, you know? It's, like, it's weird.
Yeah, you're disappointing people, or, like, I think something that in this hypothetical you just laid out, I feel like it would have confused me. And I would have, like, probably not realized I was bi, out of, like, Like, it would have taken me longer, I think,
Yeah.
out of, like, spite for people...
Yeah.
Out of spite for people assuming something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
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 Well, I think Dan kind of had a little bit in the first place outside of the internet, even because people were always telling him, like, that he seemed gay. And then there's sort of a knee-jerk reaction to be like, well, no, I'm not.
Yeah,
like, what
you don't...
are you seeing?
Like, you don't know me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's why it's weird to assume. I think people mean well, too, because, like, I do know, just based on experience of, like, being in those spaces when I was younger, like, a lot of these people were girls who either did not yet realize that they were bisexual or lesbians and were very encouraging of gay people and thought that they were encouraging Dan and Phil and thought that they were doing a nice thing.
That's a fair point.
By being like, it's okay to come out, you know? Like, being like, at the MCR concert, when they return, Dan and Phil are going to come out and they're going to kiss on stage with the gay flag and it's going to be amazing for everybody and everybody's going to cheer because everybody loves gay people. And it's like, well, yeah, sure, in this space, but, like, we can't guarantee that anywhere else and, like, you don't know their life, you know? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a fair point, that people were probably, like, they wanted, yeah, people who, like, may not realize they're queer or, like, know it but aren't able to come out, like, want to idolize someone, you know, like, they want a role model. Yeah. So they were probably, like, pushing Dan and Phil into that spot in their head, which is not fair to Dan and Phil, but kind of understandable in a young person's brain.
Yeah, especially because I mean, most of these people are, what, like 12 to 16?
in like 2012?
Yeah.
Yeah, we were 14.
That's something I appreciate about them, though, is I feel like that they don't really hold that against anybody. Like, I think they get that. Like, they get that they accidentally kind of raised a bunch of people and that is, like, part of their cross to bear, but also it was, like, kind of a beautiful thing, you know?
I haven't, like, thought about that element of all this. I guess, like, from their perspective, what do they... Yeah, I don't know. How do they view their fans?
Yeah. I think I would feel like I created a monster. But a monster that loves me, you know?
Yeah, I can see that.
You don't watch horror movies, but it would be like you should look this up after or watch the movie, but in Barbarian, the movie, there's this woman who... Quick rundown of this movie. She lives down in the sewers, kind of.
Cool.
Because her dad, like, abused her or whatever, and her dad's still down there, but she's down there, and she's, like, an inbred monster woman. And she, like... Maybe this is a horrible analogy, because they didn't abuse us. But her whole thing is that she's a big monster woman, and now she's looking for her own baby, and she, like, captures people, and then she makes them nurse off of her, like, weird sunken teat. And she's like, baby, this is my baby, and she says it in, like, this weird, like, funny voice. I would feel like I created one of her by accident, and that I'm both the person that created her and the person that she's trying to turn into her baby.
No. That's horrible.
It's more horrible if you've seen the movie.
That's horrible. I don't want to watch it now. I did watch Jordan Peele's Us last night, though. I watched Us.
Oh, how was that?
It was good.
You would like Barbarian, maybe.
I don't want to see a sunken teat.
It's pretty bad.
I also don't like... I actually think that it sounds, like, good in the way that horror movies are supposed to be good, I guess. But it does sound like it would really unsettle me. Just, like, a person...
It's really scary. She, like, runs up out of nowhere and then smashes a guy into a wall.
And it's... Degradation will really get to me. Like...
Yeah.
Humans living under, like, really degrading circumstances...
okay, yeah, you might not want to watch that one then.
Yeah, I don't know.
It is good.
Yeah.
And I just feel like she exudes this energy that like a big group of she's a fandom.
Okay.
She's kind of like that.
Right. Bringing it back to the analogy.
Bringing it back to that, this big monster woman that just wants to have her baby and will do anything for the baby is like the vibe. Dan and Phil were the baby. And also the dads.
Daddies. I just said that because I remembered in the video from yesterday the announcement that Dan and Phil Games is coming back. Dill, their sim son.
Yeah. So Dill Halter is their child that they created on The Sims, which is on Dan and Phil Games. That's like the longest running series on Dan and Phil Games is The Sims. Mm-hmm. There's like 50 of those or something insane. There's like a lot of those videos.
Yeah.
And they're all like half an hour long. So lots and lots of hours of content on Dan and Phil Games. So they move in together in like 2010, I think I had on here. Oh no, it was August 2011. Dan and Phil moved in together into the Manchester apartment. Dan had been going to school at University of Manchester for law for some reason, and moved in with Phil. So he dropped out like halfway through that year, like that winter, basically. And they both became YouTubers full time. Supposedly this is around the time that they were dating. That's all I know. I don't know when they broke up. I don't know when they started dating. It's none of my business. But this was also around the time that there's a video that came out called the Valentine's Day video, which was actually on the channel for, I think it was on Phil's channel for like a day or something. And somebody did save it, and you can still find it online, like deep web somewhere. Yeah. I think I'd watched it maybe when I was like 14 or 15, and I feel really gross about having watched it actually. But I think it was meant to be unlisted, and then it wasn't. But it's a video where Phil basically has like private photos and videos of them together, hugging, kissing, whatever.
Oh.
And like it's like a sweet like happy Valentine's Day to Dan video. Yeah. And people like to pretend it doesn't exist. It does exist.
I don't think I knew that existed. I mean, yeah. I don't know. I probably became aware of it at some point, but I didn't register it. Also, very brief tangent. I just found a long hair in my, like in my knee, like in the overalls that I'm wearing, and it's dark and it's long, so it's definitely not mine.
Ew.
Anyways, mystery hair on my pants. Go on.
Congratulations. Anyway, I think watching the video is an abomination. It's an affront to God. You should not watch it. But I think Dan may have acknowledged it in his coming out video, just like as an illusion that there was proof online that they had kind of been a thing, because he acknowledged that they were a thing, and then he was like, and then I don't know, it just seems like maybe they weren't after a certain point in time. Mm-hmm. I don't know, I feel really weird even talking about it, to be honest.
Oh, that they
feels like not my place.
About the video specifically, or like that they were,
I mean about the video, but more just about the fact that they've dated at all. Because I feel like they just don't really want people to
they haven't
speculate.
Yeah, no, that makes sense, because they haven't been open about that like at all, so yeah.
I mean, kind of. Well, Dan did say that they dated in his coming out video.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's all we know, really. And then the Valentine's Day video. That's literally all we have.
People date and then they don't date all the time.
And then they buy a house together.
Yeah.
They live together forever. I think whatever they have is probably very special and beautiful, regardless of if it's romantic or friendship, or if it's just them tolerating each other at this point. Like, I think it's like a very unique thing that they have with each other. No. That's like part of what made the whole thing so special, is like how they interact with each other is like, I think genuinely, I don't know, very open and sweet and like just nice. It's nice to watch. It's nice to watch men be that way with each other.
Don't get me started on male intimacy. I love that shit.
Yeah, it's very sweet. I think it was really positive for me, like as a young woman too, to see that and be like, oh, that's what a healthy like male friendship looks like. Whether like it's gay or not. Like that's what a healthy male friendship looks like.
That's a really interesting point of view. I think that's cool. I wish that it resonated. I wish that like I took that element more for myself, because I feel like I'm a little bit weird about men, because the only like close male friend for an extended period of time that I've had has been Tyler.
Tyler being a friend of ours we've had since high school.
Yeah.
Anyway, skipping past all of that, I think if you're the kind of person that wrote fan fiction about them, you should really reconsider your values, especially the one that I read where Phil shoves a hamster up his asshole. I think that that's something that you should really reconsider.
No. Phil puts it up his own asshole?
Yeah.
Moving on. Let's move on.
Moving on. Yes, they move in together to the Manchester apartment in 2011. Dan drops out of college. They become YouTubers full-time. They also start up the BBC radio show around this time, like 2012. They start doing more stuff with BBC in general, which eventually leads to them having a full-time, it's called The Internet Takeover on BBC Radio 1. And they interviewed like a bunch of celebrities around that time. They interviewed One Direction. They interviewed Taylor Swift. They interviewed Fall Out Boy. One time, they called up Matty Healy, and he's like, I know who you are. You're Dan and Phil. And I sometimes think about that. Your cat's good?
Can you hear that?
I can.
Boone is scratching on my sheet for some reason. He's done. But, nah.
He was having a cat moment.
Yes.
I was going to talk about the Dan and Phil radio show because I think it shaped my music taste, like genuinely. Oh, either I used a VPN or somebody was streaming it illegally live somewhere. And I don't remember which one I did, but I used to listen to it live and it was a huge hassle. But yeah, I did. And they used to like have people submit videos. Oh my God, I'm burping. They used to have people submit videos with song requests, and they would play those like for the live stream audience online. If you were just listening in your car, obviously you couldn't see them. But then also Dan would pick a lot of music, and he picked like Grimes and FKA Twigs and like other stuff I wasn't really hip to when I was in high school. And then that was like my first introduction to like that kind of music. And now all I listen to is stuff like that pretty much. So yeah,
I don't know.
He like introduced, I think he played Sophie too, which is like, that's like game changer for me. So yeah.
Dang, I don't know if I knew that. I knew that you would like stalk Dan's Spotify and he had this playlist that like paralleled one of your playlists, like unintentionally. And so it's like, dude, we have the same fucking music taste. I didn't know that he influenced it as much. I guess I thought that you were just cool and you were like finding that music on your own.
Well, nowadays I do, and then I'll still go on his Instagram stories and he'll still be posting music that I'm listening to. Yeah. So I think it's just like I got into the music he likes, and then it randomly, not so randomly, became my music taste, and it just has followed the same line for the past 10 years.
Yeah. You guys are on a similar wavelength. When was, I don't know if you have this written down, but I just want to make sure it's addressed at some point, that you played Mario Kart with Dan.
Oh, yeah. I did play I played Mario Kart with Dan and Phil.
In that same game? They were both on?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They were both on. So they used to, this was actually before Dan and Phil games. This was summer of 2013. They would share their, like, room codes for Mario Kart, and like you could play them. They did the following year when they figured out how to do this, and like Dan and Phil Games was the thing. You could play with them, and then they would record it and put it on Dan and Phil Games. So I missed out on that. That would have been cool
to have it like immortalized.
To have it immortalized, it was not immortalized. but I remember it. I have pictures. But yeah, I played with Dan and Phil. Phil's very good.
That tracks.
It was hard to beat Phil. So Dan and I raced solo once. Like, it was just us.
That's so
and
romantic.
I beat his ass. Yeah. And he must have been up super late because it was like 2 p.m. here. So it would be like, I guess it'd be like midnight there. That's not that bad.
PJ replied to one of my comments once, and I freaked out, and I have a screenshot.
Wait, what did he say?
Honestly,
I remember this.
It was okay. It was a video he made, and he was talking about bands he was in as a teenager, like his little musician moment. And my comment was something along the lines of like, I wonder what band PJ would have ended up like had you stuck with that path or something like that. And then he responded to me and he was like, yeah, I don't know what would have happened. But I just followed, I ended up going more video route, obviously. I don't know exactly what he said.
Yeah. It feels like an injustice that I've met PJ and you haven't.
Yes, it does. And I actually...
Yeah.
Where was I? I think I was like scrolling way back in Instagram to find something a while ago. I just feel like I recently saw the picture of you and PJ. I don't remember where or why, but...
It's on my Instagram. Yeah. It's a cute picture. We both look very happy.
No, it is a really cute picture. And you were very sweet. You were like, I just want to say, you mean the world to my friend Mikayla. And
yeah, and he was like, that's very sweet. Tell her I said thank you. And I was like, oh, I will.
And then I literally ran around my house and was screaming. And my mom came outside to make sure I was okay.
Yeah. And then I went and like sat around with like Mitchell Davis for a second. That was a weird day. I met like a bunch of people that day.
I don't remember the Mitchell. That's cool.
Yeah, he was like I think he was the auditor kind of for a Jack and Dean panel. So I was there for the Jack and Dean panel, and then Mitchell just kind of like sat next to us for a second and was like, how you doing? It's like, I'm fine. This is weird.
That's so... I don't remember that bit. That's so cool.
Yeah.
You met some cooler people. Like, we had Leaky
I only wanted to meet, like, the British people, so I would kind of just cycle around the areas where I thought they would be. And I was right. So I met Dean, I met Mitchell, I met all of PJ's friends and PJ.
Very cool.
I think that might be it, though. Oh, I met, like, Hannah Witten and, like, some of her friends.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, I went to VidCon in 2017. Fun fact about me.
VidCon 2017.
VidCon 2017.
All the people...
Oh, I rode the escalator with the needle drop. I could have slapped his bald head.
What? Wait, sorry. Who's that?
Oh, he's a big music reviewer.
The Needlehead?
The needle drop.
The needle... Oh, sorry.
Anthony Fantano.
The needle drop. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I know. That's him. It's the same name.
Yeah, Anthony Fantano.
I know who that is. I just didn't...
Yeah. I rode the escalator with him. I ran into John Green's wife in the bathroom and she treated me like her bitch. It was horrible.
What?
Not to drop like tea on this channel or on this whatever we're doing. It's going on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I entered the bathroom, like the women's bathroom on the second floor, which is like where the creators were, because I had a creator pass somehow. And I ran into her by accident, and she was like, "Excuse me," and I was like, "Sorry, like I accidentally ran into you. I know who you are. I've seen your face. Like, I couldn't even say anything except like, oh, I'm so sorry. And then she just looked at me like, and like walked away. Honestly, like rancid vibes.
Oh,
I've
no.
like never ever been treated like that by someone before.
Oh no!
It was horrible.
Damn, I was about to like
Yeah.
make some benefit of the doubt excuse, like maybe she was stressed that day, but that doesn't.
I
seem
mean,
like
maybe. But yeah, she definitely like gave me like the stink eye and was like, "Excuse me." Like I literally just opened the door. The door happens to open this way. I didn't mean to slam it into you. It's an accident.
Oh, no. Yeah. Damn.
Anyway, so I've got beef with Sarah Green.
You've got beef with Sarah Green.
Yeah. Let's move this episode along. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the radio show, I think, only lasted through about 2016, 2017. They stopped doing that. It sounds like it was just too much of a time commitment. Because they were going to go on tour.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they did 2 in-person tours. There's Dan and Phil Go Outside and Interactive Introverts, I think. We didn't get to go to either of them because they didn't come to Portland. And I was moving to Chicago around that time and just couldn't go. Anyway, yeah, I feel like that's the whole timeline of Dan and Phil. They meet, they move in together. They moved to London around 2012. Around the time we started watching them, I think. So they could do the radio show. They do Dan and Phil games and the radio show at the same time. Those both kind of end like 2016, 2017. I think Gaming Channel ended 2018 because they just said that in that video that was out yesterday. They do 2 tours, 2017-ish, 2018-ish. Big gap in time. They both come out in 2019. And now, where are we?
As far as I know, Phil has just been consistently uploading, his fun little YouTuber stuff.
Yeah, he was doing like Animal Crossing videos in 2020 for a while. But
just
yeah, I think
on
he
his
mostly
channel?
does like, yeah, on his channel. He mostly does like Q&As now, I think, and like a lot of the stuff he used to do, honestly, like I'm gonna try a bunch of products off Amazon and show you, so his like shtick has kind of been the same forever.
I liked his haircut video, or maybe that was more.
Yeah, the haircut video. That was when I think, were gonna move from their last London flat to the new house.
No, this was like really recent. Like Phil.
Oh, this was really recent?
Like very recently got a haircut, and I feel like he brought in Dan. He is in this hair video, and then like 3 months ago, Dan forces Phil to try cheese was uploaded. And that was a really cute one. I really enjoyed that one, actually.
Yeah, I do think it's insane that Phil's in his mid-30s and hasn't really tried much cheese in his lifetime.
I don't understand being so averse to cheese. Like, there's so many different kinds. I feel like you gotta find at least one that
you're
it's like okay
my
with.
favorite. Yeah.
It's a pretty solid addition to a
cheese
lot
rocks.
Of foods. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's gonna be my snack after we're done with this. I'm gonna cut up an apple, and I'm gonna... Okay, so here's what I do, is I have crackers. And I think I like saltines the best, but I don't have any saltines currently, so I think I have, like, club crackers or something. And anyways, then I'll spread a little bit of Laughing Cow cheese on there. And I know that's not, like, really, like, real cheese, but...
It's close enough. It's, like, better than spray cheese.
Yeah.
You're, like, a tier above.
Laughing Cow cheese on the cracker, and then an apple slice on top of that, and then you bite it, and it's really nice.
So Phil's been uploading his regular stuff. Dan now has a new series after, like, a huge break. Like, he really took a gap between coming out and now.
He uploaded, like, 2 videos in the span of 2 years, right?
Yeah.
It was, like, why I quit
one was,
YouTube,
like... Yeah.
and then the coming out video. Or was it vice versa?
Why... It was coming out and then why I quit.
Yeah.
Yeah. We kind of addressed the why I quit YouTube one in the last episode, I think, or 2 episodes ago. But Yeah, now he's doing, what is it called? Dystopia Daily.
Yeah. Well, I think that's
Which
kind
is
of
not
ended.
daily. It does seem like it's kind of ended. PJ did work on that.
I know.
Yeah, I know you do.
Sophie did too.
We didn't talk about Chris very much on this.
Nah, not really. I don't know.
We should have a Chris episode and invite Tara. It can be like a bonus episode.
Yeah. Just so people can, I don't know. It'll be like 20 minutes
Just
long.
so everybody has proof that she's female Chris.
Yeah. In the last episode, we kind of covered a little bit Dan, just as far as the, like, why I quit YouTube, I feel like we got a little bit of the more recent years covered for him. And, like, it feels like this video is a little bit, like, back heavy, if you know what I mean. Like, we covered, like, up until...
the history.
Yeah, history. And then we have less talking on, like, more current... the last 7 years.
Yeah, I mean, there's not as much to cover.
Yeah.
Because they, after 2018, like, really took a hiatus. Both of them, for a second. They came out.
Dan wrote a book.
Dan wrote a book. I haven't read it. It's about mental health stuff. I've heard that it's, like, helpful if you have never had a therapist. Like, it might kind of run through some, like, cognitive behavioral therapy stuff. But I've had, like, 6 therapists, so I feel like it's probably not, like, for me.
I wanna read it just because, like, it's Dan's book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how I know I'm not, like, absolutely in love with Dan anymore, is I'm like, I feel like his book is probably not for me, and that's, like, okay. Instead of being like, I have to read it immediately.
You've tapered off
I have to look for signs that we're gonna get married.
I wrote you a really short fan fiction once.
Oh, you did?
I wrote you a self-insert Danfic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was up editing videos for a college class in it. And he comes out and he's like, go to bed. And he edits the video for me. Which is cheating.
Yeah, I didn't think... You know, I like to include, like, moral ambiguity in my writing, so...
Yeah, I think that's really important. That was when we were, like, 15, right?
Probably. I'm embarrassed to say if it was any older, so...
If in that video, or in that fan fiction, I was dating Dan at, like, 19, maybe? How big would that... He would have been, like, 26?
Yeah.
I already knew the math on that in my head because I calculated it so many times.
Oh, God.
It's a little weird. 26 and 19 is a little weird. 25 and 32. Now that's acceptable. No, we're good.
Yeah.
I've shook hands with that dream and we've parted ways.
We met Dan.
Good.
We didn't say that. We went
did.
to Dan's tour, but you sprung for, like, the super mega VIP meet and greet package. Mm-hmm. And we met Dan, and it was really quick, but it was like...
It was cute. The pictures are cute.
The pictures are really cute. He takes selfies like a mom. He puts his, like, 4-foot long arm all the way up in the air.
We had him draw a tree for us. So one thing about us is that we both had a big moment about the Super Amazing Project under an oak tree outside of our high school, and we had him draw a tree so we can get it tattooed. We haven't gotten it tattooed yet.
No, we still need
to do that.
Did we cover the Super Amazing Project?
I actually think we skipped the Super Amazing Project. That was something they did from, like, 2011 to 2012. It lasted, like, 2 years. I think.
And it was a My Damn Channel thing, which... was like, what was it? That was a YouTube channel that, like, had series put on it by other YouTubers?
I think it was more like an agency, and they would fund your projects and make sure that you got, like, sponsors and stuff.
Oh.
So that you could be an independent creator. Because Grace Helbig was also a My Damn channel.
That's the only other person.
Like Daily Grace.
I associate with it, honestly. I don't know who else was on there other than Grace and Den and Phil.
Yeah. Super Amazing Project was a My Damn Channel project. And that was the only channel they had together up until Dan and Phil Games. But I really liked the Super Amazing Project. Those are some of my favorite videos of them.
Yeah, no, those were fun. And I liked that they were, like, a little bit more like a TV show, just in the way that it had, like, consistent segments.
Structure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that it was a little spooky. There were, like, ghost segments. And
yeah, they had viewers send in emails of, like, spooky happenings. I think that might have been what it was called, was Spooky Happenings.
I think it was called Spooky Happenings, yeah.
Yeah, and then they would read those in the dark in their bathroom, probably, or something.
I think it was in their bathroom.
Yeah. Yeah, those were fun.
Yeah, it's funny. Those were so good. I think I want to go back and rewatch some of those tonight. Those are so cute.
Do it.
Yeah. I liked, just speaking of that, the Dan live shows for Halloween that he would do, where he would, like, tell either, like, stories that he'd heard or find stories online to, like, read to you that were scary, and then we'd all just be scared together. Or, like, ugh. Those are such good memories.
That's so cool. You were
Yeah.
more diehard than I realized, I think. I don't know.
I had the notifications on.
Yeah.
I was in there.
I didn't watch the live shows. I didn't watch the YouNows. I don't know. I just like, oh, cool, a new YouTube video. I'll watch that later.
Yeah. No, Dan took up a lot of my brain space. That was like the falling asleep story in my brain every night for like 5 years.
The falling, like fantasizing.
Thinking about Dan.
Just thinking about Dan in like an abstract way, or like thinking about your life with him.
I'd come up with narratives.
Yes.
We had a narrative.
Yeah.
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 I'm not going to share any of it, but
that's private up here.
It's between me and Dan.
Yeah, I had that with PJ as well. I had a life with him.
Yeah. We've all done this.
Jesus.
Boone. Actually, no, that's not Boone.
This one's Evie, but Boone was chasing her. That's why she did that. Shout out McDansey, the playlist.
Yeah, shout out MJ, the playlist, also.
I still listen to that sometimes. It's good. It's got some cool songs on it.
Yeah, my McDansey. I haven't touched mine in a while.
I think you
dusted off.
I think you deleted it, but it still exists because I liked it, and I won't unlike it. Am I right, or did you? I feel like you told me that one time you deleted it.
Let me look. No, it's still here.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
It has one like, and it's yours. For sure. Crazy times. I feel like I just want to end this by saying, like, I really feel like I would be a completely different person without Dan and Phil. I don't know how much we got that across, but, like, I watched their videos after school, like, every day for years. Because they were regularly uploading for a really long time. Even through, like, my first year of college, like, Dan and Phil Games was really active. So I would watch that, like, all the time between classes. Yeah. You introduced me to Dan and Phil, like, the summer before high school. They were, like, genuinely, like, a coping mechanism after my grandma died. Like, I would, like, get so sad and then be like, this is the only thing that makes me happy, and, like, just sit there and, like, watch so much Dan and Phil. Because I, like, had a back catalog at that point to go through.
Yeah.
Yeah, that pulled me through. That and the Black Parade.
Oh, I don't know if I knew that specifically, like, about your grandma.
Yeah. They imprinted, for sure.
Yeah.
They pulled me out of the pit.
They have definitely been that for me a few times, too. Just, like, I'm really fucking sad. And if I can remember to, I'll go watch a Dan and Phil video and, like, it'll help pull me out of it a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Well, when I broke up with Redacted, I spent the whole next day that night and the whole next day in bed, just watching Dan and Phil games and being like, you know what? Life is okay, because you know what? I could be with someone like Dan or Phil who's like normal and nice
and gay
and would treat me right and gay. Listen up, redacted. I'm gonna go find myself a gay boyfriend. They've been there through thick and thin.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I feel very parasocial about them.
Yeah, I do too. I don't think
Very
that's unhealthy.
attached.
I feel like you can have healthy parasocial relationships.
I think so too. Well, it's like I don't know their address. I'm not gonna go find them. You know what I mean?
We're
like,
not freaks about it.
We're not freaks about it anymore.
Yeah.
I feel like, yeah, if anything were to happen to either of them, I would be devastated. And like, if they ever got married, I would be so happy. And, like, if I ever heard that they had like a dog or a baby, I'd be like overjoyed. Like, I'm in it.
It'd be
for their
so
life
sweet
events.
if they got a dog together, but like they can't
I
take
know.
care of plants, so
It's true.
well, Phil can't.
And I think they have fish. Anyway, I care about them. Like they're my own flesh and blood. I care about them. Those are the brothers I never had.
Like they're sucking from your monster teat.
Yep.
Sorry.
It's like, yeah.
The brothers I never had, I feel like that will a little bit describes like how I feel about them at this point.
Yeah. That's how I feel about Phil. I don't know what Dan is.
Yeah. Yeah, you have an interesting... Dan exists in like a unique place in your brain.
I think so. I feel like I modeled myself so closely after Dan that sometimes I'll even say things like an adult woman with a job, and I'll realize that I said it in a Dan cadence, and I have to be like, I wonder if anybody in this board meeting who's 40 years old knows that I accidentally just did a Dan cadence right now. But
interesting. I think Tara
Yeah.
did that with Chris a bit. I think that Chris, at the very least, like influenced her humor. Like,
yeah, Chris did irreparable damage.
Chris did,
For sure.
dude. They're just like, it's so strange. I'll watch a Chris video now, like in some of the Italy Saga videos I was watching right before recording this. Like, I see Chris like some such super small mannerism in his face even, and I'm like, that's Tara. She does that. Yeah. It's bizarre.
No, it's weird. It is.
It's bizarre.
I know what you're talking about for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Dan and Phil.
Dan and Phil.
Very
Love
good
'em.
eggs.
If they're listening, be my friend. Let's make this real.
That made me feel a little bit like you said that, and I mean the possibility of them seeing this ever is very, very small, but that like alerted something in my brain, like something like starstrucky. I don't know how to describe this, but I'm like, oh my god, what if they see it?
What if they acknowledge me?
Yeah. But we literally met Dan in person, and he acknowledged
I know.
us face to
He
face.
did.
Yeah.
He did. I was like, hi, my name's McKinzie. He was like, hi, McKinzie. And I was like,
Yeah.
well,
I think it was a good experience, but I think the day of the show that we went to see Dan, I was really tired and I had a headache, and I was really enjoying myself, but like because of my headache, I just was like a little bit out of it. So I don't think I was like
I remember that.
I wasn't fully present, I guess, which I regret like a tiny bit. But also it kept me from freaking out, I guess.
I just remembered that I'm not normal because after that show, because I remember you had a headache and you'd already taken like your medication for it, but I had Tylenol in my bag. So I gave you the Tylenol out of my bag as we were walking to Maddie Healy's hotel.
Yeah.
Because he happened to be in town.
Yes. That is the night. Okay, I was thinking about this fairly recently for when you gave me Advil just out of the bottom of your bag.
Yeah.
Loose Advil that you just had floating
Loose
around.
Advil.
Thank you, though. But I thought for a second that was the night of the 1975 concert, but that wouldn't make any sense because there was barf in your bag that night.
Yeah. Jesus Christ.
And
those were a wild 2 days. We're coming up on the year anniversary of those 2 days.
Yeah, we're gonna see the 1975 again on the exact same day.
We are, and I might puke in my purse again. I have no promises.
Try not to, but...
I'll try not to. Yeah. No, that was crazy. Like, we saw Dan on the 30th. I knew that Maddie Healy was in town because he posted a story from the rooftop of Portland. So I was like, let's go. Let's go see if he's going to be out at a bar. And then he wasn't, obviously. And I'm not enough of a freak to go inside the hotel. So...
We were in the hotel bar, though.
I think we were.
We were in... Right? That was the hotel.
We were in the hotel bar, yeah. But I'm not going to go in the lobby. I have boundaries. And then the next day was the show, and yeah, I got, because I waited outside the venue for like 6 hours.
You were a trooper that day.
I was a trooper, and I made sure we got in so we could be like close to the front, which we were.
We were in a pretty good spot.
It got me all like gunked up by the time I was in the pit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maddie Healy, if you're listening to this, I'm normal.
If I have a message for Dan and Phil, I think it's just like, thank you. Thanks for making the stuff that you've made and bringing me a bunch of joy and all that jazz.
Yeah. Thanks for years of joy.
Yeah.
Hopefully many more.
Yeah.
Oh, I feel like while we're here, we should acknowledge Tessa got married this weekend.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Dude.
I sent a video to the Instagram group chat because Dodie was there and had like videos and stuff.
Who'd she marry?
Some guy, I don't know.
Oh, I'm so happy for her.
It's very sweet. Anyway, I think we can probably end it there.
This is gonna be a long one.
This is gonna be a long one. We'll just do the thing we usually do though. Are you excited about anything?
I'm flying to Scotland in a week.
You are.
So that's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I'm gonna
cool.
go to
I'm
Scotland.
excited for you.
Thanks.
Say hi to my ancestors.
Yeah, I'm going to Scotland. I'm going to see Fall Out Boy, and then I'm going to Finland, and I'm going to see my friend Lota. And yeah, I'm kind of nervous because this was my first like solo international situation. And yeah, I don't know what I still need to get and do. And yeah, but it'll be fine. It'll be good.
Yeah.
I'll survive.
Good luck.
Thanks.
Exciting.
What are you looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to Amelia and Jade's wedding.
Yes.
It's gonna be fun. Yeah.
Yes.
More marriages. Big wedding week.
Guess so.
Yeah, guess so. Yeah, that's gonna be fun and weird and good. Yeah, well, signing off. I am excited. We're excited for things happening. October's like a busy month.
October's been a super busy month for me. I'm kind of exhausted.
Me too.
And if I'm getting sick, at least I'm getting sick in this one little kind of gap week I have before I go to Scotland.
Yeah.
But also I still have shit going on this week, so it'll suck. But
yeah. Well, we got this.
We do. Okay. We do. Thank you for... I think this is the first episode that we're gonna have our shit together for. You know, like it's gonna be...
I think so.
It's gonna be good. It's gonna be long, but it's gonna be good
long.
Otherwise. Yeah.
I did my research.
You did.
Trust
Thank you.
When
Thank
I
you
say I
that.
did my research. Terrifying Baby Woman is the name of the video, by the way, that you wanted.
Okay, thanks. I'll check that out.
Yeah.
Terrifying.
I had
Baby
that
Woman.
actually in my notes, apparently. I saw that when I was scrolling. terrifying baby woman.
Excellent.
Yeah. Anyway, signing off. This was Zillennial Breakdown with Mackenzie Smith and
Mikayla Heineck.
Thanks. All right. If your names are Dan and Phil, text us. Bye.
If your names aren't Dan and Phil, also text us. Send us a comment or a message or a whatever you want.
So
just
true.
Don't be a dick though. You know, be nice.
Find us on Instagram. You can find that in the description. Yeah.
And if you listen to all this, like, thank you very much. Genuine thanks for listening.
So true. Yeah. Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.